Yes, yes, we are back. Yes, yes.
We back.
I was waiting on that.
We back.
But the Nutty North podcast, or the Nutty North AFC North podcast, is back with me, Rondell Sutherland, and T Nesbitt right over there.
Hey.
You know, we back on the Score on Air network at facebook.com in the Safranco studio at East. What is it? 5330.
5330 East Main Street.
Yes, sir. See, he got the address. I don't. This time he dropped the location.
I mean, you know me, I ain't never scared, so they want to come get me.
Yes, sir. But we about to talk some football. Specifically, we about to talk some Browns football. See, he over there grinning. So go off, man. First, before we get into it, how you feeling?
How am I feeling? What?
I guess that just coincides with what we about to do.
What?
All right, man.
Man.
Go off.
What?
Don't try to spike the mic, though.
I got black on. You know why I'm wearing all black? Like the Undertaker? Because we put him in the dirt. That's what happened. We smoking on that Pittsburgh pack, baby. Ha 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 ha. You got on TikTok, bro. That's how I knew they weren't ready. You doing all that talking on TikTok, man. Man. Come on, man. Grow up. Grow up and come get beat down like your daddy used to. Even though that went a little different on Friday. Still. Speaking of Steelers, bye. I just want to be annoying for a minute, like I said I was going to be. We deserve it, though. You said the last time we won a title was when? I mean, the last time we won a playoff game was when?
Last time y'all won a playoff game was 1994, I want to say. So 26 years.
Come on now. Come on. So I feel like every Browns fan right now should be feeling the same type of way. Like jubilation. Nothing else matters because we popped Pittsburgh. That's it. Like I feel like it's kind of the same thing with Ohio State. I thought that Ohio State was going to get beat down by Bama. As much as I wanted to be optimistic and I wanted to see, Ohio State win and all that, I knew they were going to lose to Alabama. But the real playoff game was against Clemson. That was kind of like Ohio State's championship game. They needed to beat Clemson because that was where the problems lied at. Clemson kind of owned Ohio State. Same thing with the Browns.
I mean, but Bama kind of owns us too when you kind of think on it.
Not really. Bama this was like a payback kind of playoff because Bama had to get their payback from the initial, first game of the playoff.
But I mean, when you think of like the overall record, kind of like with Clemson, we only got one win against Bama, really.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the recent history.
Okay.
Like the playoff avenue area of it. Just like how Steelers fans like to forget that the Browns won all those titles before that. They act like, they're Sixburg, all this, that, and the third, because they're talking Super Bowls. But there's been championships long before there were Super Bowls. They just want to look at a way that they still make them look better.
Deshaun out here roasting.
Who, Deshaun?
Yeah, he said T was young then. How young? We don't know.
I can't comprehend from a guy whose team is sitting at home right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, you had your shot, Mr. Isaac. Yet you want to come on my show and come trolling, buddy. Go check on them Titans and see how we gonna smoke on some of that Titans pack too. That's what we doing out here. We got all kind of pack. But nah, I mean, to me it was just the Steelers have owned the Browns, the new Browns. Big Ben has. I mean, I think Baker just had more Browns home playoff wins than Big Ben did. He don't even play for Cleveland. He's owned Cleveland. So it's kind of, I feel like that was the playoff. That was we get up for this game. I get that what's his face? Juju put the bulletin board material out there, but the Browns were ready already. I don't think no TikTok message was enough to really get it. It's just kind of rub it in your face because he's a dancing fool. But outside of that, like the Browns didn't need to get up for this game. The fact that the Browns playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's what made them get up for that game. So it just boiled down to now we have to go out there and prove that this is a different year. That's one thing that I will say. When he said that this is the same old Browns team, that's what this was to prove, that it ain't the same old Browns team. Right. The Browns all year have shown that. A lot of games that the Browns won were games that the Browns would have lost any other year, but they made it. They took care of what they needed to take care of. there was even that last game of the season. That's a game that the Browns probably would have lost in other years. Then you would have been like, oh, they had a pretty good year, 10-6, but they blew it come around the playoff time. They didn't get it done. That's what you're used to hearing about the same old Browns. But we got news for you. This ain't the same old Browns team. This Browns team is off to play Kansas City. We're off to see the Wizard now. Let's do it. So, off to see the Wizard. It's a beautiful sight to see. It's beautiful for Cleveland because Cleveland fans, they do it the right way. They know about fandom. They know how it is. They know they care about it. And you can see just seeing what I know Baker went to see like a dying fan that hadn't seen the Browns playoff in a long time, playoff win in a long time. He was, about to get out the door. That gave him a little bit of extra life. He's going to go out celebrating. So it means so much more. And that goes to show you too about being a bandwagoner and why it's not good to do that. Because sports means a lot more to you when you stay and you ride and die with your team. Flat out. Because there's, the Steelers are used to having these playoff wins. They're used to getting, where they need to get to. So they would have won. If they would have won, it'd have just been another notch. But for the Browns, it means everything. And that's why I compare it to Ohio State and Clemson. Because the Browns come out to Kansas City and get beat down, nobody's going to really care that much because you beat the Steelers, you got through it, and that was the most important thing that we could get out of that. So yes, I'm going to be very annoying. Yes, I'm going to be very loud. Yes, I'm going to be extra and over the top. But man, I deserve it. And any Brown fan out there, they deserve it too.
Yeah, the Browns deserve it. You definitely deserve it after so many. How many quarterbacks have the Browns killed? How many careers?
Too many.
Too many. And y'all finally got your franchise quarterback. That's actually beautiful.
He's every bit of the Browns quarterback that you can find. And he was Baker Mayfield this week. I always say that there's three Baker Mayfields. There's sometimes he's Baker Manziel, sometimes he's Baker Mayfield, sometimes he's Baker Montana.
I don't know about that Baker Montana.
He's Baker Montana sometimes. He was Baker Montana against your Bengals. Look it up.
When?
That first game.
Yes,
he was. He was. I think he had like 4 or 5 touchdowns in the game winner. Yeah. He was Baker Montana that game.
He was only Baker Montana because Joe Burrow out there was.
Joe Burrow don't play no defense. Him up. He don't play no defense.
I mean, he played offense.
That wasn't good enough. Man, he lost.
That's different.
Shout out to you, Baker, man. But like I said, he's every bit of Cleveland Browns quarterback. Like he's a little undersized. He's not really, but he's a little smidgen undersized.
He's a little undersized.
But his arm but his arm is huge. He had the tough road to get there.
Right.
He got the chip on his shoulder.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, their mascot is a dog, so he got that dog in him.
He does what he needs to do. So I appreciate having him.
Yeah, you should. But Deshaun replied back saying he had to give you an opening there. Like, and I thought you was gonna say something. Why you just?
No, I'm just gonna smile.
And Jace Lehman, he wants to hear our thoughts on Urban going to Jacksonville since you brought up Ohio State.
Yeah, buddy. About that, I think it's a great hire because you have to. If you're Jacksonville,
I don't know about that, man. I mean, they say NFL is less stressful than college, but he's still gonna have problems at some point.
Everybody has problems. That's the thing.
I'm talking about his health problems at least.
But it's easier when you don't have to be on the road recruiting. You know what I mean? Like it's easier when you don't. It's free agency is a quick thing. You're gonna find out real quick how a player feels about you. You're gonna be able to know if you can sign him ASAP. You don't have to deal with. I got to recruit. He committed. Now I got to see if he signed. That's a whole different thing. No, you're Ohio State, you're, Florida, even Bowling Green, Utah. There's going to be more people that's going to come along with you than not, but that's still extra stresses. That's still extra traveling. There's still a lot of extra things you have to do. And with the NFL, these players now. Urban's coached and he's been an analyst. So he's familiar with a lot of these guys. It may be great on free agency and sign it, and it doesn't hurt the fact that he was a former Ohio State coach. If you have, it's just kind of like Nick Saban, at least you would think. And I know it didn't work out for him when he came to the NFL before, but one would think if you have that much of a tie to those kind of players during the college stages, they should want to come back and play for you when you get to the NFL. Now, you're obviously not going to have a team full of Bama people if you're Nick Saban. You're not going to have a team full of Ohio State players if you're Urban Meyer. But you're going
He might have a team full of Florida players.
He could, but he's going to have a team full of guys who know who he is, that respects his coaching, that wants to be around the kind of leader or man that he is, and they'll come around to it. And again, you're Jacksonville. What do you really have to lose? Jacksonville has always took kind of like the bunt as a hire. Sometimes you got to swing for that home run. And Urban Meyer is nothing else. He's a home run hire. If it blows up, it's going to blow up historically bad anyway. But how far could you go? You were already 1-15.
I mean, we want to be honest. If it blows up, that might help him going on because people are not going. It's not going to be a knock on his record because it's Jacksonville at the end of the day. It's like if you blew up at Cleveland, it's not a knock on your record. Like Cleveland was terrible before, so
I don't want to say it's not a knock because it's different from Cleveland to Jacksonville.
I mean,
and that's the thing.
It's still like a little knock, but like it's not like people aren't going to want to hire Urban Meyer if it blows up.
No, but what I'm saying is with Cleveland, I don't want to say you expect to win, but your hopes are up high every year.
Right.
Even if there's nothing to warrant it most years as it hasn't been, you still support your team. You're still there. The dog pound is the best fans you'll find.
Bar none. They're the best fans you'll find.
They're the best fans.
They some of the best fans.
To me, they're the best fans.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, but they care. And win, lose, draw, they care. Jacksonville, a lot of times they can care less. So it's kind of one of those. That's another reason why Urban's a great hire. Just like he would have every year, you would see the Browns when the Browns had an opening. Even with Cincinnati, you'll hear Urban Meyer's name get whispered around. Right. That's because it's the Ohio State thing. Just like with Jacksonville, they're looking at the Florida thing and they're saying, Urban Meyer's still a legend. He just had his health issues, and that's why he ended up, retiring. But he didn't leave them with hatred in their heart for him. They still love him. And again, if you're Jacksonville, you need that spark. The last spark they had was Gardner Minshew. And what did that do for him? I know Tom Coughlin was supposed to be a thing. They blew that whole Jacksonville team up. Like, that just goes to show you how sorry Jacksonville needs to be, or they wanted to be.
Is Tom Coughlin still there?
No. They got rid of all of that. Everything, they cleaned house. Most of that 2017 team that took Pittsburgh to the max, beat them, and I think they lost in I can't remember if it was the division or the conference finals, but they went pretty far in 2017. Most of that team was blown up. They don't even, they're not even there in Jacksonville anymore.
Calais Campbell's on the Ravens. Jalen Ramsey's
gone. Fournette gone. Blake Bortles gone. The receivers gone. Tackles, guards, everybody's gone. But that's 4 years ago? 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, that's 3 years ago.
That's terrible. So now Urban can bring you some type of stability. He can bring you some type of recognition. He can make people care about Jacksonville. And by the way, you have the number one pick too. He's not going to be dumb enough to take Justin Fields. As much as I love Fields, not the number one pick.
You went right into the question. The next question was, now, does he take Fields or Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Easily. I mean, I don't know why that's a question. And it's not like he wasn't at Ohio State when Fields was there. So
it's the easy connection, though.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the talent-wise, it has to be Lawrence.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I can be a homer, but I'm not going to be stupid. And at the end of the day, that's what being stupid is saying you take Justin Fields because, Ohio State.
I mean, you ain't got to call people stupid.
I'm not saying that person's stupid. I'm just saying
this is stupid talent.
Yeah, that's a stupid, thought process. Because I'm going to forget that the number one prospect is the number one prospect because of, I have an NFL job and the number two prospect used to play at a team that I used to coach at. That's doing extra. That's forgetting everything that, your scouts are going to be mad at you. The front office is going to be mad at you. But everybody's going to be mad at you.
Well, I mean, but if you kind of look at it, if Urban brings his system to the NFL, wouldn't Fields fit it a little bit better? Because Ryan did, and Urban's system ain't that far apart.
No, because Trevor Lawrence can do the same thing, but better. That's why I'm saying that it would be a stupid move. Because the thing that will be the overriding factor is that he went to Ohio State. Again, I'm an Ohio State fan, and I'm still telling you, you don't take Justin Fields because he has a lot more to work on than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is one of the best prospects I've seen in a long, long time. So you take that guy because he's the best player. Now, I'm not saying that Urban Meyer can look in round two and maybe Olave sitting there. You say, okay, I need a receiver. Let me put Olave on the team because prospect meets need, meets fit, means that I'm putting him on my roster. That's a great move for you. But to just go ahead and say Trevor Lawrence has been the number one pick the entire year, we're going to throw that away because Justin Fields, used to go to Ohio State. That's not smart. That's like picking Troy Smith back in the Heisman days because he went to Ohio State. That he was a great college quarterback, but NFL is not going to translate that way. He was not the prospect. So you have to still take the best prospect because your job is to field the best team. Your job is not to, pun intended, not to field the best player from your old team. That's like dating your ex-girlfriend from
Hold up, where was the pun in that?
Fields.
Oh,
Come on, man.
I mean, it sounded way different over here when you said it. My mind went somewhere else.
I'm gonna need you to be with me, brother. Sheesh. But no. But yeah, to answer that question, I don't. And again, I'm not saying that the person asking the question is stupid. I'm just saying that it's a stupid way to look at things if you just take a guy because he used to play for your former team. If you want to take him because he's the best prospect. And I don't think they're close either. Like, you've seen that Justin Fields is kind of running down the mock draft. He's coming down the mock draft field. So it's more so, and I'm not a big fan of mock drafts either, but I think that there's some merit to Justin Fields kind of dropping down the rankings. So Trevor Lawrence, he's the number one guy. He's been the number one guy the whole entire year. It's kind of like Bama. No, I feel like it would have been stupid to pick Ohio State to beat Bama. As much as you want it to happen, it would have been dumb to pick them that way because Alabama was the best team all year. There was nothing that changed my mind on that. If Ohio State would have won, Ohio State would have just had a really lucky game and they would have won. That's just, it is what it is. But if they would have played 4 out of 7 games, Ohio State would have not beat Alabama 4 different times. And I love Ohio State, but it just wasn't reasonable. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence has been the number one prospect the entire year. There's nothing he did to show me that he wasn't. It would be bad, bad, bad if you just drafted, Justin Fields for the sake of, he went to Ohio State. And I don't think Jacksonville would have hired Urban Meyer if they thought that's how he thought too. So,
all right, to bring it back to the NFL and the AFC North, and I'm still gonna have you compare quarterbacks, but Pro Football Focus still projects Joe Burrow as a better QB over Justin Herbert. How you feel about that? After the amazing season that Herbert just had.
Well, Herbert also played every game.
Yeah, but I mean,
most games.
Even when like Burrow was playing, like it was toe to toe with Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, or Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think Joe Burrow's, he just has that it that people talk about.
Right.
That's what Joe Burrow has. Like, Justin Herbert looks good.
When you look at Herbert, he has the way better arm though.
Yeah, he does.
But you look at Burrow, he's more athletic a little bit,
more poise. He's
better accuracy, I guess.
And he didn't have the weapons either. Like, I mean, they had good weapons in Cincinnati, but what I'm saying is Keenan Allen right now is better than any Cincinnati receiver out there. I'm right or wrong.
I'll give you that. I mean,
if he was healthy and he was together, he's better than Keenan Allen. Absolutely. But he ain't. So
yeah, I'll give you that.
Justin Herbert had that. He had a better defense, I want to say. Like, he had a better all-around squad.
Did he have a better defense?
Yeah. It wasn't that much better, no. But it was better. And a lot of Cincinnati's woes was because they were hurt. So now if you take fully healthy, if you give me both teams, like right now, you give me both rosters, San Diego, Los Angeles, and Cincinnati's rosters, I'm taking Cincinnati's. Because that's assuming that everybody's going to be healthy. The talent on there, I like Cincinnati's talent a lot better. I just think that Justin Herbert was kind of set up to succeed, at least offensively, because he had the guys around him to be able to do that. I still think he's a good prospect. I still think he's going to have a pretty good year. It was a good year for the quarterbacks. Even though Tua kind of came down a little bit later, I think that these young quarterbacks came in, they showed up, and they showed out a little bit. So, I mean, I think Cincinnati's happy with who they have, and so is Los Angeles. It's just kind of one of those things. If you trade them places, I don't think it works the same way. So
you might be happy, or you might be happy to hear this, or you might not. But it seemed like the Steelers is they cleaning house a little bit.
Oh yeah, they fired their offensive coordinator last time I checked when I left the building. So
I mean, they still got their defensive coordinator, but yeah, offensive coordinator got cut. I think someone else probably got cut too.
but yes, there are going to be people that lose their job, especially when you lost with 5 of your last 6.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the worst thing that happened for the Steelers, in all honesty, was they went 11-0 to begin the season. I felt like me personally, and it wasn't even the bias, I had them at that 8-8, 9-7 range because I didn't think that they were that good. I thought they were going to be okay. They're the Steelers, so that I didn't think they were going to be as bad, but I thought that they were going to be pretty average, maybe slightly above average. They went 11-0. It was a soft schedule, but you play who's on your schedule. They had a couple of good quality wins, but I didn't look at that team and think I'm worried. I didn't look at that team and think they couldn't be beat. I didn't think they were 11-0 team. I don't think that they're a lose 5 out of 6 team either. I think that they were somewhere in the middle. They ended up going a couple games over my projections, but I think that it kind of made them feel like they were better than what they really were. And
I think when we all did the prediction, I think we all had them at 8-8.
Yeah, somewhere around that area.
Yeah.
But that's what they look like. And then I think by the time, because like again, if you're not 11-0 and you're not 5 out of your last 6, you're somewhere in the middle of that. The record didn't show it. You are what your record says you are, but playing wise, they play like an average team. Even the games that they were 11-0, but they had some struggles against some lesser opponents. So it was more so that they, every year you see the contenders and the pretender thing. And I think that that's where they were at. They were in that pretender range. Yeah, you're in a playoff, but you're really a pretender. So now that that's done, and now you look around, that roster's not that great. That quarterback situation is not looking that great either. Your wide receiver Juju may be out of there. You're going to have to rebuild at some point, and that point may be coming up real quick. So, of course, there's going to be some heads that roll, and it ain't going to be Mike Tomlin. So, yep, somebody got to get fired. You can't keep everybody. You can't bring everybody back. So,
True. So, you want to jump right into previewing the next game? Well, for the Browns and Chiefs, the Mahomes and Baker, or you want to go to commercial?
Let's get the commercial.
All right.
There's a lot to talk about on that one.
I don't know why I couldn't get it out. But that's crazy.
We went to party last night. Party.
Right. We'll be back. Catch you on in a minute. And we are back. Yes, sir.
We back.
I know y'all see them commercials.
Hold on, man. Shout out to my guys. I buffered with the Carl Thomas exclusive fit.
That is so crazy.
Man.
This man just interrupted me. I don't know.
Bro, the man's flashy. Look at him. He know he flashy.
I can't even see over there.
He got the zipper turtleneck too. I ain't never seen a zipper turtleneck. But
you want to tell him to come over here, man.
Nah, he ain't getting none of this shine.
But yeah. I know y'all seen them commercials. You want your sporting gear? Go to Mojo. You need something installed technology wise? Hit up the theater people. But yeah, I know y'all seen them commercials. Also, make sure y'all check out I think it was Open Gym my show, which we do on Wednesday. So make sure y'all check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But, what I said we was gonna talk about? The Browns, right?
Yep.
The Browns upcoming against the Chiefs. Now, that's actually an interesting matchup. It's a very interesting matchup. Not only does Mahomes and Baker kind of have a connection with the Texas Tech thing, also, Baker being in Oklahoma, and I don't know how much he loves Texas anything. I know he hates Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know about Texas Tech.
No, it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Michigan thing with Texas Tech and Texas.
Right.
It's low key because like they're part of the rivalry, but the main rivalry is
Oklahoma,
Texas. Yeah. Right. So it's kind of like Ohio State. Michigan's their rival, but Michigan State is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like two different rivalries. It's like rivalry, and then it's a recruiting rivalry.
Okay.
So I think it's like Texas Tech, Texas is more so you're competing for them Texas recruits.
Right.
So that game may decide whether somebody goes to Texas or Texas Tech, kind of thing. At least that's what I'm thinking of.
Also, I don't have the stats, but it says when they played in college, they put a video game numbers.
Yeah, I think it was like I want to
Wasn't
say,
it like 500 or 600 yards?
bro, it was something ridiculous. I want to say it was like the score was like 60 something to like 50 something. Bring up the box score for that one.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna have
know
to bring that up.
it was something ridiculous. I think Mahomes might have had like 8 touchdown passes or something. It was something crazy.
Okay, but also another thing about this matchup that's kind of interesting is the fact that Sammy Watkins, Jarvis Landry, and even Odell Beckham, even though he's injured, all came out in the same draft, 2014. And it says here that Sammy Watkins, he came out fourth on the overall to the who was it? To
The Bills.
Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jarvis Landry, 63rd overall to Miami.
So is Jarvis Landry from 63rd?
That's crazy. See, I wasn't even gonna say
I
nothing.
had to, bro. I had to.
RP Vaughn.
R.I.P. Vaughn.
But
Probably would have paid more attention next time you run up on somebody though. Just saying.
I'm not gonna get into that.
There's lessons to learn.
There's lessons to learn. He should have listened to Derek when Derek said start teasing the ops. But Jarvis Landry, he leads Watkins in career yards with 7,000 to Watkins 4,000, and I think he leads them in 2020 yards also with 840 to Watkins 421. So who's looking like the better receiver right now?
Well, it's always Jarvis Landry. It's always been Jarvis Landry. It's just that and Sammy Watkins, he has that unfortunate off injury tag, and he's like the talent. I'm not taking nothing away from the man's talent. It's just that the number one ability is availability, and for Sammy Watkins, he ain't never really available. It's just it is what it is when it comes to that. He need to be there more, but he has brittle bones. I see that he's running those lips at this moment, but apparently that's one of the main things he is running. Shout out to that offense because that kind of allows Sammy Watkins to still have a job because they don't really need him much. But if you have to depend on Sammy Watkins, you're in a whole bunch of trouble. There's a reason why he's in Kansas City right now, and not really to even throw shots at him. That's just the truth. Sammy Watkins can't stay healthy. He's a great player when he's out there, but man, he ain't really out there. So it's always gonna be Landry because Landry's a guy that you can depend on. Landry's a guy that plays through all kind of aches and pains. And he's a tough, cookie. He's a bad mamma jamma. So, anytime you have a game, unless COVID is the thing that kept him out this time.
Right.
But for the most part, Jarvis Landry, you'll see if you watch any of the behind the scenes footage or whatever, you see, Jarvis is hurting. He'll tell you he's hurting. But Jarvis is also going to tell you ain't pulling him out the game. It seems like Sammy Watkins, every time he gets a little ouchie owie, he's out.
Ouchie owie.
That's just what it is. So I don't want to call him soft, but man, I ain't going to call him hard either.
But I'm looking at it right now. So the first time Mahomes and Mayfield played each other back in college, because I don't know, have they played each other in the NFL yet? Have Kansas City and
I don't think so.
The Browns played?
I don't think so. I think that'll be next year though if they do.
Yeah, I know it's next year because I know the Bengals had them on the home against the Chiefs or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I think so. But Oklahoma had outscored Texas Tech 66-59. That's crazy. Together they combined for a FBS record 1,708 yards of offense. Mahomes set a record for 819 yards of total offense and 734 passing yards. Mayfield broke an Oklahoma record with 7 touchdown passes. And together they combined for 1,279 passing yards, the most ever in college football. And I'm looking at the stats. Mahomes was 52 of 88, which that's unbelievable. That his arm still has gas in it like that.
With that arm, that don't shock me.
734 yards, 819 total yards, 5 touchdowns. Mayfield was 27 of 36, 545 yards, 564 of total offense, and 7 touchdowns. That was in 2016.
That was cooking. Boy, oh boy. What was the defense doing is what I want to know.
I mean, Oklahoma's never been known for defense.
No,
At least it's been a minute since they've been known for defense.
come on, you're still a Division One defense. So, if I'm not mistaken, though, I think that game ended with a defensive stop,
It might have. I have no clue.
which is always the irony of those kind of games. But I mean, at some point, I mean, if my defense is going to step up,
Somebody got to do something.
yeah, at some point you got to stop somebody. But I strongly doubt we have that kind of firework.
I mean, you never know.
No, you don't.
Because the Browns' secondary is not that great.
No.
And then it's not like Kansas City is really known for defense either.
No.
They kind of get it together, but like even their secondary and their linebackers is a little weak.
Their man-to-man defense is special, but once you have to put them in the zone, it gets kind of ugly for Kansas City. It's just Kansas City so used to putting up a lot of points that it really sometimes don't even matter. Because, I mean, they're fine with a 45-24 game. You know, that's easy for them. But why I say I doubt it is because I think the Browns are going to play it smarter. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to guarantee a win, obviously, but I think the game plan with Kansas City, the best way to beat them is keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands, really. So, you know, when you have Chubb and Hunt, which I think this should be a Hunt game for real because of the situation that happened and him, you know, how he ended up in Cleveland. That he was with Kansas City before that. So I think that, you know, and he's already been talking about it, like he's on it for this game.
All right.
It's that kind of, you know, you want to show them what they used to have with you. You know, you want to be able to go out and put a great performance out. But with all that being said, it's still Mahomes' world that we living in.
Right.
You know how I feel about Mahomes. That's my homie, Project Pat Mahomes, but not this week.
Good old my homeboy,
yeah, my homeboy Mahomes. I love him. I always have. But this is as real as it gets. This is what you want, though. Again, like I said earlier, this doesn't guarantee you that we beat them. This is not to say that, you know, we might get blown out. It might not be pretty.
It might be like last year with the Texans and Kansas City.
If we go up 24-0, I'm calling that Trump man and doing whatever he needs. Let's stop the count right now. We are up. Let's stop the count. I don't need to see another vote, another count, another score, nothing. The game's over. I win.
But also, just to add a little bit more to their story, or this little storyline that people are going to be talking about. It seems Mayfield, before he transferred from Texas Tech, he actually hosted Mahomes on his official recruiting visit. So that means, what does that really mean? That means he showed him around campus?
Yeah. I mean, he was a leader, pretty much. He was more like a captain kind of guy, because that's the guys that get to do that. He probably took him to those clubs that James Harden likes to frequently visit. But he probably took him out and showed him a great time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it seemed like Mahomes was battling through injury when they played that first time, even though he went off like that. Like he had a sprained throwing shoulder, a fractured left wrist. Like
I don't question anything when it comes to Mahomes. How he does it is how he do it. The goat milk. See, man, I don't want to get on here and just gush over Mahomes. We got problems this week. Me and him got an issue. I don't want to have to deal with him like that. You know, you stay. That's why I want the Browns to keep him off the field. As much as I love seeing that man play, I do not want to see him.
I mean, even on the field, you're going to have to hope, like, Myles Garrett, that D-line is playing on one, they in his face.
Yeah, there's that war back, too. So, I mean, and Kevin Johnson, so it doesn't hurt. But still, though, Mahomes is still a bad man. So, I mean, but with that being said, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this is what I call first world problems, having to deal with Patrick Mahomes, that's a first world problem. Because you're talking about the playoffs, dealing with Pat Mahomes in a big-time game. You win this, you go to the conference championship. You win that, you go to the Super Bowl. We're talking about the Browns still. We're not talking about nobody else but the Browns doing this. That's what makes all this dope. So, again, that's why I compared it to the Clemson game. Because if the Browns come out here and get bombed on and get beat down, nobody's going to care. You beat Pittsburgh. Ideally, I kind of want the Browns to beat the Chiefs, obviously, and I want the Ravens to win, and therefore there's that further proves that this ain't the same Browns, because you would beat Pittsburgh You would beat Kansas City. You would beat the Ravens, and then you will go on hopefully to play Tampa Bay if it work out that way. And then ideally you beat the GOAT. Then you can officially say it ain't the same Browns no more. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, you kind of having that conversation. It's more that it ain't the same Browns, but they ain't the same Steelers either. You kind of having that talk. But we have to have our own separate, entity right now. And I think if we can beat Kansas City, that's what starts that because that's the big dog. Like that's the team to beat. That's the best team out there. That's the challenge that you're going to have. So we just have to go out there and handle what we have to handle. And hopefully they're successful in it. And if not, if they lose, hopefully it's not a blowout. But I mean, this is what you want though. You want to play the best. At the end of the day, shout out to Logan Morris. I'm sure he appreciate this one. But the wise man Ric Flair always said, to beat a man, woo, you got to beat the man. And Mahomes, if nothing else, that man's the man. Period.
Once again, you ain't got to yell at the mic.
I want everybody to hear me. The world.
But I low key was gonna say Bleacher Report is being disrespectful, but they got this ad on every page. But they got this Mahomes ad right now. When I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns page, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of disrespectful. But nah, they got it on everything. So I'd have been tripping.
I mean, Mahomes, he deserves everything he gets though. He is that dude. Project Pata.
He was gonna play into it. That's crazy.
I mean, I'm not about to. I keep it real on this show. That's why I don't want to talk about Mahomes a lot because I don't have nothing bad to say about the man.
That's wild.
Even when I watch him this weekend, I'm gonna hate that I have to root against him. I love that dude, man. How could you not? Everything right about the game of football, everything right about the quarterback position Pat Mahomes has. He does it.
We all love Kermit the Frog, so we gotta love Patrick Mahomes.
It's my guy in a bag of fries, man. Easily. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. But next on my list of things to talk about is the Ravens versus the Bills.
There is other games. I almost forgot that. See what happens when the Browns win? Yeah. Get everything.
A little crazy,
man. But the worst thing for Lamar Jackson happened. He's seen snow in the forecast.
He really don't want to play in snow. That's so crazy.
You know why?
I mean, he did great when he played in the what was it? Typhoon tsunami that was hitting over on the coast when he's playing New England.
That's a little different though, because
it's rainy. It was cold.
Yeah, but your legs are more of a impact there. Snow is gonna kind of hold you up.
But I mean, that's also going to stop Josh Allen because they're planning to blitz him, even though he has success against the blitz.
You can plan all day long, but Josh Allen's still gonna do what Josh Allen gonna do. That's throw it to Stephon Diggs majority of the time. Most of that time, you're going to be right on it. So, I mean, it's more so that...
But, I mean, Marlon Humphrey or Marcus Peters going to be covering him.
See, but that's what I'm saying. And if you're playing in the snow, that's less of an issue.
Right.
Because you're not trying to throw the ball 50 different times.
Right.
You want... Like, the snow games are more so where every throw counts more. That's why Lamar Jackson is going to be worried. Because he's allowed to have throwaway throws any other time because them legs is gonna keep some drives open. Running. They're gonna be able to kind of keep the offense flowing in normal circumstances. Snow is gonna be a lot of easy, quick 3 and outs. That's when your best quarterback has to become his best self. And I think Josh Allen obviously is more of a developed quarterback at this time than Lamar Jackson. Maybe than Lamar Jackson ever will be. So it's a little worrisome. But I think this game might come down the same way the Titans game came down to. It's going to take a big play here and there to get you where you need to get to. This may be a low-scoring affair if it comes out the way it's going to come out. But Lamar Jackson can still break him a run. He can still do some of the things he needs to do. It's just that Josh Allen is going to be less rattled. And, by the way, you play in Buffalo. So you're more used to playing in these kind of conditions, this kind of weather. You're still coming from Wyoming. Like, all those things come into play that it is going to definitely work in your favor if you're Buffalo. But at the same time, Baltimore, at least defensively, has a pretty good roster to be able to hold any team down. And especially if you're playing in those kind of conditions. I know Buffalo just lost Moss for the rest of the season, so that hurts their run game. So that's another piece being taken away. But it's gonna be a sight to see. I think that's going to be more so of kind of a hard hitting affair. More so, the play action might end up being your best friend just because the run game is going to be so much of a factor that you might be able to catch somebody slipping. So, Buffalo again, they might be welcoming the blitz because they're more of a complete team than I think Baltimore is right now, just because that quarterback situation is a little rocky as a quarterback. Even last week, I don't think he played that well. I just think that it came down to both teams, Tennessee and Baltimore, had the same game plan. They're going to take away what you do best.
You didn't think he played that well?
No, he didn't.
I don't know.
As a quarterback, no, he didn't. He just had them big runs.
As a okay, I'll give you that. As a quarterback,
that's what I'm saying. Standing in the pocket,
just as that playmaker that he is,
he had
an amazing.
But see, that's what I'm saying is that Tennessee and Baltimore had the same game plan. Stop what you do best. Baltimore, they did a great job and they stopped him. They stopped Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the only rushing first down they had was from Tannehill. They stopped Derrick Henry that whole game.
Yeah, they shut him down. But that's how their defense was. That was their game plan. Tennessee, I think they had the same game plan. Shut down Lamar Jackson. The difference between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry doesn't necessarily have that game-breaking speed. He doesn't have that big play ability like that. He gets his. He gets his the hard way. He gets his stiff arm here. I'm going to run through you there. I'm going to maybe shake a couple guys here, and then I'm going to bulldoze through you. I might take it 80, but it's going to take me a longer way. Lamar Jackson, they're like that.
Right.
And as you can see, the play that changed the whole landscape of that game, that broke the tie, was his big run. That was one of the few times that they did not stop him in the run game, but they was coming after him all day. And it just took that one big play to change the landscape of that game. And if Tennessee had a big play hitter, obviously he's washed now, he ain't even in the league, but if they had that old Chris Johnson back, I think that may have been the difference in a game like that. So it's again, my problems with Lamar Jackson has always been the same. When it comes down to these playoff games, you may even be able to win one game like he played against Tennessee, but you're not going to get you a championship playing that way. You may even get past Baltimore playing that way. But if you have to deal with Kansas City or Cleveland, you may have to be more of a quarterback at that point.
Hold on. You can't just throw Cleveland in.
Yeah, I can, because Cleveland plays Kansas City. And if I just say Kansas City, that will be under the assumption that you're going to see Kansas City, which means that I'm telling you that Cleveland's going to lose. And I ain't about to sit here and do that. At all.
No, I'm just saying you can say Cleveland, but we not about to act like he doesn't have a field day against Cleveland.
He does. Absolutely.
The Bengals.
He does. But Cleveland's still going to have to make sure that he doesn't beat you with his legs. If you look at the last game, Cleveland ended up throwing a touchdown pass, but it started with him not ability to run.
Right.
Then he launched that thing and he got that touchdown after he took that poop. So it's just kind of one of them things. Like, man, he took a poop. I don't care how you want to defend him. He took a poop. I mean, I feel like you take a nice good poop sometimes, you may feel like you can throw a 50-something yard touchdown too. Like right. It's just how I feel. Like, mad at it, do what you do.
To be honest, that was less him and more the Browns. If you want to be honest,
I mean,
play action. They bit on that run
hard. Yeah,
they bit hard.
But a lot of that has to do with the run game too, though, because the Ravens' run game ain't the Ravens' run game. Lamar Jackson ain't the type of quarterback he is. You throw Joe Flacco back out there, that Ravens run game ain't as dangerous.
I don't know about that.
They're not.
What's his name? Dobbins. Dobbins is looking dangerous right there.
He is, but it's still levels. Mm-hmm. So Dobbins still would have been a dangerous guy, but without Lamar Jackson out there, he's a little less dangerous. Because Lamar Jackson, you have to worry a lot more than Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, I know when you drop back, you're going to throw the ball. Lamar Jackson, if you drop back, he might go for 60. Right. So that's something you have to game plan about. You don't have to game plan for a stat sheet. If Joe Flacco beats you with his legs, he just beats you with his legs. Lamar Jackson, you can't let him beat you that way. You got to make him be a quarterback. So,
right. Yeah, but Coach may have been right. Dobbins is looking like a little Ray Rice without the the allegations. Not even the allegations. He
actually say he did it. That was on camera. He definitely did it.
Yeah, but is it? You think it would be a little concerning for the Ravens defense that their coordinator he's saying that Josh Allen knows there's going to be pressure because that's who they are.
Yeah,
and he's not changing that.
We don't. I mean, you do what brought you to the dance.
I mean, I guess, but at the same time, like I hope like 41%. If like you blitz the whole year, you blitz 41%. But you got to know if he's successfully good against that, then you got to disguise it at some point. And
Yeah,
I mean he's gonna do that, but it's just the fact that I feel like we done seen this defensive coordinator just stick to his plans all the way through when he should be changing.
yeah, but I mean, again, he has to do what got him there too. So at this point, it's more so to get to 41%. Some games is 60, some
Right,
games is 20. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like some games is 50, some games is 30. So depending on the matchup, you got to blitz at some point anyway with anybody. But blitzing at the right time, being able to, like you said, disguise it a little better. There's certain things you could do to still bring pressure because you want to bring
right,
pressure. You want to make Lamar Jackson think. Not calling him ignorant or nothing like that. But Lamar Jackson's not there yet mentally how he processes stuff. He's more of a one read, two read guy, and then go with that if nothing's open. So I think that you want to kind of rush his decision making because once you do, then you can be able to kind of play your base defense the way you feel like you need to play your base defense if you're putting pressure on him.
well, you talking about pressure on Lamar, or pressure on Josh Allen?
On Lamar Jackson. Are you talking about Josh Allen? Put the
Yeah, I was
pressure on
talking
him?
about Josh Allen.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, because it's the Ravens. It's the Ravens who blitz 41%.
Oh, okay. So with the Ravens, I mean, it's the same thing. It's you have to go what gets you there because with Josh Allen, you still kind of want to rush his thought process too because he's going to throw it up to Stephon Diggs.
Right,
But if you know that and you got Marlon Humphreys out there and you know what I'm saying, you have a good enough defense to at least make him feel you. Because sometimes it's not even about the sack. Sometimes it's about hitting the man. Sometimes it's about your will against his will and breaking his will. So I think what it boils down to is if you're the Ravens defense, you have to look at it like I think both defensive coordinators have to be kind of work wondering the same thing. I want to rush your decision making and make you have to be the guy that screws up. Because I think that's what this game may come down to, especially if you're playing in bad weather. Who's going to be the first guy that screws it up? Who's going to be the first guy that fumbles or throws that bad pick or, that fourth down stop? Where is that going to come from? And once you rush somebody's decision making, then hey, it might work in your favor, it might work against you, but at the same point in time, if that's what you do to get you there, you have to stick with your guns. So I don't knock him for sticking to it. I mean, if you lose your way, and I'm big on that. I don't. I'm not a fan on changing everything that you used to do. Then you go out there and get beat down. It's like, oh, well, we should have stick to the game plan. You think? This is what got you 11 wins. You don't worry about the 5 losses. Worry about the 11 wins. So, I mean, like I said, this should be a good one. It just depends on who can get the first blood, really.
okay, all right. So, um, there's three things that Baker, Josh, and Lamar share. They all three came out in the first round of the 2018 uh, NFL draft. So I'm looking at this one article and it's talking about how Lamar has the most to gain from these playoffs. But I want your perspective. Like, who really has the most to gain out of those three quarterbacks? Because 5 were taken, but Josh Rosen is who knows where, and Sam Darnold has digressed. So out of those three, who really has the most to gain? Does Baker have the most to gain? Being like he's now that figure, I guess you could kind of say, in Cleveland. Like LeBron held that for many years, but now Baker is kind of that figure.
Yeah.
And then you got Lamar who has to change the narrative. He finally won a playoff game, but now he has to fully change the narrative because everyone expects greatness out of him.
Yeah.
And then Josh Allen, because he's been mediocre most of his career from high school to college. No one really expected much. Now he's having like an MVP season. So who really has the most to gain?
I still think it's Lamar.
Okay.
Just because I mean he's still at that but stage. Now it's he won a playoff game, but barely. And really that was you can argue that they disappointed this year. You can argue that they should have been like the roles should have been reversed a little bit. If you would have said that the Ravens would have been a home team and they had a better record and this, that, and that, and this, then you would have looked at it and said, okay, that's the way it was supposed to be. Now, there's a certain program manager here that seemed to think that they were going undefeated. They had that shot. What's up, Adam?
Lie. They looked like they was gonna go undefeated.
I never thought that, but still, some people, and I had them in that 13-3, 14-2 range. So it wasn't. I didn't see them being undefeated, but I seen them being a really great team. But you can argue that they had to they take a step back. So I think with Lamar Jackson, it's still questions. Tennessee was probably one of the weaker teams, playoff teams. I mean, I don't know if you really want to call a playoff team weak, but they were one of the weaker ones. And I mean, to me, Baltimore did what they were supposed to do. They should have been the favorites. I don't know if they were, but I expected them to beat the Titans.
I don't think they were. I think it was kind of a toss up.
I mean, it could have been, but still, the point being is that win didn't do much for the outlook of Lamar Jackson. That win did more kind of questions. It's still, like I said, it's back to that but the number one way you silence the buts, you win yourself a title. So if he wants to do that, he has to go out and he has to play well. He has to do the things he needs to do. He has to actually be a quarterback to be able to win that title. Because again, you're not getting that championship playing the same way you played against Tennessee.
Also, Baltimore was the 3-point favorite of that Titans game.
Okay.
And the over under for total points was 54. I think they were under.
Yeah, they were definitely under. I think it was 17-10 was the final score, or it might have been 20-10.
I think it was 20-17, right? It was 2013.
2013, okay. But yeah, like he has to come in and show up and show out to really be looked at as that upper tier. Because again, how many quarterbacks would you rather have than Lamar Jackson? You're the MVP from last year.
Right.
So it shouldn't be a lot, but I think that there's at least a handful that you probably want to have quarterback-wise over Lamar Jackson. Now, playmaking, breaking ability and all that, probably not. But, some could argue Josh Allen, you would rather have him than Lamar Jackson. So it kind of, he has to go out there and prove himself.
I don't know about that because Josh Allen right now is, at least the Bills right now, they're looking like how Alabama is. And the fact that like they look like the most complete team, they look slightly unbeatable at times.
I can give you that.
And I think Shannon said it best when he was looking at that game for the championship. He said they're due for a bad one, and I kind of think the Bills too. And especially when you look at the roller coaster way of Josh Allen's QBR, his percentage, like he's due for a bad game.
I get it.
And who best to give it than the Ravens in that defense?
And that's the thing. Like, I think Lamar is where Josh Allen wants to try to get to. Okay. Josh Allen, I think if you ask that question next year and they don't win, then that's kind of the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Like, he had that MVP level kind of campaign. Right. He was looking like new money, and then he kind of took a step back. So now it's like, I want to see that extra step. Just imagine the kind of heat Mahomes will be getting right now if he didn't win a title already. Mahomes is playing with house money because he has a title early. But, we live in this social media quick reaction world that if you don't have it, like everybody gets the Jordan face unless you win the title. So what these guys are trying to avoid, especially Lamar Jackson, is that, especially considering, let's be real here, he's still a black quarterback. Just like the black head coaches, they get more of a beat down through the media and all that just because of that.
Unless you Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin is he's an anomaly, and that's the Steelers' way for real. So that's less targeted. But let him be on the hot seat. They're gonna beat that man down. Look at Marvin. They beat Marvin to a pulp. Now everybody begging for him to come back and coach.
Marvin deserves it
to an extent, but
17 years and no playoff wins.
Look what the Bengals did before he got there though too.
That's true.
So they but still the fact remains is. You look at some of the head coaches. Doug Marrone didn't get beat down as much as Marvin Lewis did. What's the difference? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it just with Lamar Jackson, he's going to get more criticized. He's still fighting those. He's just a running back things. He's still fighting the. Maybe he should be a wide receiver from the draft way back then. You know what I'm saying? The Bill Polian, that kind of stuff. So I think that he's just looking at it like you kind of have to not battle perfection, but you have to play above your head when you are Lamar Jackson, because Josh Allen is not going to get the same criticism as Lamar Jackson does. That's just the way it is, man, and that definitely needs to change. But I think, especially looking at the racial landscape of this world now, they're not going to they have to, especially with the new regime coming. You're going to have to be as racist as you can be, whatever sneaky way you can now. The days of it being as big and wide open, they're coming to an end. So I think that they're going to find ways, and the media is still a part of that because there's a lot of them that think that same way. They're going to have to find a way to, kind of talk about you and throw bad on your name in a way that doesn't look as obvious. The number one to do that is to question you on the field. So I still, to answer your question, Lamar Jackson has so much more to lose by that. I don't think Baker does, just because Baker's riding on a high rather they lose or not. This is a successful season already. If they go out there and get beat 100-0 to the Chiefs, you'll still look at this as a successful season for the Cleveland Browns. Ravens won't get that same luxury.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go on another commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the other two teams in the AFC North. And then we're going to expand a little bit, probably talk about more of the playoffs. And we'll catch y'all in a minute. Yes, we are back. We are back.
How do I look like that? Like, I just have this. I had a super stern look, though. Like,
hold on, give me a minute.
Ain't you the one that brought us back?
I got stuck on something.
How you ain't ready?
That's crazy.
You be tripping, man.
Look, I know y'all saw those commercials once again. You want some sports gear, hit up Mojo. You need something to start, hit up the theater people. I know you also saw me and T's interviews. That's just to know a little bit more about us. Also know y'all saw that new it's a new commercial. I know y'all saw that new score promo. It was about their socials. So if you want to do what we doing, we'll hit up the school first, but also hit up Score if you want to. I don't know. I mean, if you got something going on, hit up Score. They do production, all that.
Find the kid Booker. That's the number one thing to do.
Find the kid Booker. That's the number one thing to do if you want to do what we doing.
Absolutely.
I was talking more about if you got something going on in the city sports wise, hit up Score.
Yeah. Still hit up the kid Booker. She'll hit up Score.
Yeah, hit up the kid.
Because if you tell them to hit up Score, they might call me or you. And I'm like, hit up the kid Booker.
Don't call me at all.
That's what I'm saying. You just opened yourself up for them to call you.
What do you mean?
That's just what's going to happen. You just
Holy
did it.
Snap, bro, just scared me.
How do you always get scared by that? Like, I don't. That's the part of being professional, man. Like, you have to know that.
How am I supposed to know someone's gonna pop out?
Because they pop up at your party. I'm with the gang.
Yo, you crazy.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, but which one do you want to talk about? Cincinnati, or you want to talk about Pittsburgh?
Oh, let's get Cincinnati out the way.
Why you say it like that?
Well, I mean, because there's gonna be less to talk about for them. Like the Pittsburgh, they got a lot to do. Cincinnati's, they're in their rebuild already.
That's wild.
Pittsburgh will have to get there. I'm gonna say some nice things about them.
Nah, man, you just come on.
You got your quarterback. That's one.
I guess. I mean, he's back. He's looking healthy.
He's supposed to be healthy by the start of the season.
And you walking fine, man.
That's something. Who did you used to say that to? About the walking fine.
Logan.
Yeah, buddy.
My fellow Cincinnati Bengal brother.
It's a you don't watch the games, but yeah, still.
I watch the game. Don't let nobody fool y'all. I watch it.
But yeah, still, you have your quarterback, you have your running back, you have your wide receiver.
Right.
You have some linemen that you can take with you. You have some defenders that you can take with you. You have some corners. Like, you have some pieces. It's just that you're still in the middle of a rebuild. So what it boils down to is you have to properly rebuild by stacking on stack on stack take advantage of when you're picking high. Right now, you're in that top 5 range. Picking there. You can trade down, like we talked about before, gets you some more players round out your roster because everything's easier once you got your quarterback. They have that. So honestly, records throw them out the window because at the end of the day, neither one of them teams are going to win a playoff. I mean, win a championship this year, Cincinnati or Pittsburgh. If you ask me today, as much as I hate Pittsburgh, I'm going to be unbiased with this. I would rather have Cincinnati moving forward than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has so many cap problems. They're about to pay Big Ben $41 million if he comes back next year.
No, he's definitely not coming back. There's no way he's gonna still be playing.
Would you not come back for $41 million though? That's a conversation you're gonna have though, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying Big Ben is gonna get that money. I'm just saying that he's gonna want to come back knowing that I'm gonna hold $41 million.
If he wants to win, there's no way he's gonna take that $40 million.
I don't care less now. This is gonna be my last year either way.
I guess
that's probably how he's looking at it. So that check's going to still cash rather you're 16-0 or 0-16. If they bench you, that's cool. You'll still get that $41 million. That's how he's looking at it. And that's just talking about Ben. That ain't even mentioning the rest of it. Like, look it up. See what the Steelers' salary cap looks like next year. Needless to say, they're in a horrible, horrible spot. And they have to pay guys. So Juju may be bye-bye. You know, he may be able to TikTok somewhere else. He can TikTok around the clock for all I care. But
I think that's the biggest question over there because I know Pat McAfee said he's hearing reports that he wants to go to a bigger market. But I mean, Juju saying that's 100% false. But we all know athletes ain't gonna tell the truth.
I'm not listening to Pat McAfee either, though. Like, he's not Adam Schefter. That's the only one I'm listening to on these kind of things. But I mean,
so I think they are. Well, it's showing that they are 21 million in the red for the cap space.
See what I mean? That's not no. How are you going to sign Juju back, keep Ben, and be able to flip
21 million in the red?
Because they probably push bonuses back down the road. Well, the road is down here. I had a friend. I'm not gonna mention his name. He said that he got in a car accident at like 24. And he said that the doctors told him, like, you know, you can get this hip surgery now and, you know, you can kind of fix it. You'll be out a little bit, but, you know, you want to kind of take care of this now because you don't want to deal with it down the road. It's like, man, I'm 24. You know, I ain't got to worry about that. You know, you're talking about I'm going to deal with it in my 50s and blah, blah, skip. It ain't going to be that big of a deal. Well, now 50's here. And now my hip hurts every day that I wake up in the morning. I'm going to have to get more hip replacements or I'm going to have to, you know, do more surgery, this, that, and the third. And I didn't take care of it the time that I should have took care of it. That's the same way with the Steelers. They take these contracts, you know, every time you see somebody talk about they're renegotiating or, you know, they push the bonus to another level or another day and all this, that, and the third, that ends up being at some point you got to pay. You got to pay. Right now, that's where the Steelers are looking at. They're going to have to pay this bill. They can't rent out on it like you at a restaurant. You're going to have to pay this one way or another. The best way to pay it is some guys are going to have to get cut. They're going to have to renegotiate some other people's contracts, but that's all they're going to do is keep pushing money down the road.
I mean, I'm looking at it. At least no one, well, Devin Bush and Minka Fitzpatrick are the biggest names that have guaranteed salaries right now, which is $2 million to both of them. So they gotta pay them too.
Yeah.
But everyone else, there's no guarantee for everyone else. But then again, I don't know who's a free agent, who's not. So I don't know who's gonna get dropped, who's not gonna get dropped.
See, bring that up. Bring the free agency list up. The future free agents, because that's going to show you.
I mean, out of anyone, I know Juju's a free agent. I know that much.
But that's what I'm saying. Like from that point on, you're already going to have to lose him.
Right.
Unless you do some real different cap Olympics without, you know, anything else happening. That's just Juju. Because Juju gonna want his bread. Juju ain't getting no type of money right now. So he's gonna want his cake. So that's automatically you're gonna lose Juju. Or probably, unless if you don't want to lose Juju, you're gonna have to cut some other players that are big time players. I don't know if we're talking Cam Hayward. I don't know if we're talking Joe Hay. I don't know who we're talking.
I think Bud Dupree. Okay, so the list is Bud Dupree, Avery Williamson, Vance McDonald, Alejandro Villanueva. Thank you. Matt Filler, Mike Hilton, Tyson Alanu, Zach Banner, Cassius Marsh, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sean Davis, Jordan Berry, Jerome Elliott, Chris Wormley, Dangerfield, Trey Edmonds, Danny Isadora, Cameron Sutton, James Conner, Ray Ray McLeod, Gerald Hawkins, Joshua Dobbs, Marcus Allen. I'm not even gonna pronounce that name. I think it's like Osha Kenny Adani. I don't know. He's a linebacker.
That's good enough.
Robert Spillman, and J.C. Hashin or whatever.
Translation: that's too many free agents.
They got 26 free agents right now, and the biggest names is what Bud Dupree, Vance McDonald's, Alejandro Villanueva. Like there's a couple more. What Juju?
See, but that's
Trey Edmonds.
You got to think about it.
James Conner.
If I have to get rid of these guys, that's just to get under the cap.
I mean, Bud Dupree is like $15 million on a 2020.
And he's hurt.
Yeah.
So I think that'll have to be an injury settlement kind of thing too. But still, point being is Bud Dupree was one of your best linebackers. So you're going to lose him. You're going to lose him anyway because he got hurt. Granted. Right. But still, this is all to get you under the salary cap. This ain't to add nobody else. This is to get you under the salary cap. That still doesn't mean you're signing Juju back.
Yeah, I mean, Juju was on a rookie contract also. So
that's my point.
You kind of missed out on trying to sign him early. They should have did that earlier.
Probably. But
lower money too.
That's why I'm saying that I would rather have Cincinnati's future because of you have to cut all these guys or get rid of some or renegotiate or move some money around.
Well, I mean, Cincinnati also got like a long list of free agents too.
But you were 4-10-1 or 4-11-1, something like that.
4-11-1, yeah.
It's a big difference because these guys aren't helping you win one way or another. Right. So it's less of a thing, and most of their better players are going to still be on that roster.
Right.
A lot of Pittsburgh's better players, at least starters or fringe starters, those are guys that's on that free agency list. Those are guys that you named off. So again, this is to get me under the salary cap, but how am I going to replace these guys? You're gonna have to replace them by draft picks and undrafted guys and maybe some bargain dudes. They're not going to be what the guys that you got rid of were. So you're going to have to take a step back from there. Then you're dealing with Big Ben, who's making $41 million. So you're going to have to either renegotiate his contract or now you have another quarterback. You already see what Mason Rudolph is going to get you going forward. So those things are a problem. Josh Dobbs ain't going to be able to help you too much going forward. That's going to hurt you a lot. So that's what it just boils down to is that they're going to have to get themselves out of the salary cap mess first and foremost while trying to field a competitive team.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it. It's like the cap number for Ben is $41 million. Then Stephon Tuitt is 14. David DeCastro is 14. Joe Hayden is 15. Cameron Hayward is 14. Marquise Pouncey is 14. And Steven Nelson is 14. Like that's a lot of money. And you're already 21 million in the red. Like,
she dropped that dunk on that thing, boy, knocking everything over.
Bro,
don't drop that dunk to the. Don't drop that dunk to the. That is professional. I don't know. I guess you got to call Mojo. I mean, is that not what happened? Did she not drop the dunk to them and knocked over stuff? I just got to call. On this show, we call it like we see it. I don't know. You've been here every trip. I don't know how you thought it was going to change. She dropped that dunk to them and knocked everything over. In the story. But, nah, man. Still, it's a salary cap problem. I didn't think that they had that great of a team either this year. I mean, forget the record. I don't think they had that great of a team. So you put all those things together, and Cincinnati's on the up and up. They haven't played their best games yet. Joe Burrows, as good as he looked, he still has a lot to learn. He has to figure it out. He didn't figure it out yet. He was just playing football. Joe Mixon, you didn't have a lot of him last year or this year. That's a thing. AJ Green and all those guys, they need to get it to, figure that out. But if AJ Green doesn't come back, you still have T. Higgins, you still have Tyler Boyd. So you have pieces, you have a start where Pittsburgh is coming down a little bit. So that's why I'm looking at it that way. And I guess technically I end up talking about both teams doing the same rant here. Because it goes hand in hand. Like, ideally, I would like Cincinnati's roster. There's more to be able to do. It's more that needs to be fixed, obviously, but it's more ways to fix it. Pittsburgh is just putting together patchwork. You're putting tape over a problem.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the cap for Cincinnati going into 2021. Well, the 2021 season. What would it be like 2020 and 2021 season that they would be paying attention to the salary cap?
This would be 2020 to 2021. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that salary cap for that, and they're not in the red. They're like 42 million.
Yeah, definitely.
So no one's eating against their cap right now. And I mean, like the biggest number that they would have to pay is Geno Atkins with 14 million, and he may be gone at that.
Yeah, they're not paying him that at all.
Yeah. So then you got DJ Reader next with or you got actually Trey Reigns next with 16, but we got him for 4 years, so you could play that over the course of those years.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't play this year. But yeah.
And I mean, at this point, money doesn't super matter either because Joe Burrow is under that rookie contract. So they're going to spend bread. They're going to have to. So I think
Right.
it's going to be about smart decision making and getting the right guys there and having obviously a better free agency haul than you did last year. Not saying the players were bad. I'm saying that they weren't able to play. So you're really looking at 2 free agency classes coming back from 1. That's why the Cincinnati Bengals have a better long-term outlook because of that. I mean, you're starting out the gate with 2 free agency classes, because you get those guys back that didn't play last year. Now you're adding another free agency class on top of another draft class that Cincinnati hopefully knocks it out the park. So you have more talent out there while Pittsburgh is coming down. So at some point they were going to have to do that anyway.
All right, so just to speak on it real quick, this draft class, what do you at least think? I mean, it's too early to say, I guess you could say, but who you think they should go for? Both teams. Like, I know I didn't talk to some people. Some people really think Cincinnati should go for another receiver, but I feel like that receiver room's full. They should be focused on O-line.
I think Cincinnati should go for the best player available.
Best player available.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they got the 5th pick in the draft. Who will be the best player available? Like if we're talking like 1, 2, 3, 4, we know Trevor Lawrence is going 1. We know probably what's his name? Smith, Devontae Smith. We know he might be
top
going
3,
to top 3. We know Justin Fields. I don't know if he's cleared yet.
I think McShay had him at 15 last time I checked.
Yeah, but I also know like McShay and Mel Kiper, they think he should stay back another year.
I think he should too.
Maybe, but if he does go, is he still in the top 2 talks?
I don't think he was never really in the top 2. In all honesty, right. I just think that it's 2 different kind of frames of mind, and I know because I have it. I watch the football games and I look at who's the best players, and this, that, and the third, and then there's a draft. Combine, there's the workouts, there's the tape watching. Because when you're watching a football game, when I'm watching Ohio State play, I'm not watching Justin Fields. I'm watching Ohio State play. But when I go back later on, I watch film, I'm going to put on film of Justin Fields. And then I might watch the same game that I want to put on film of Olave. And then I'm going to watch the same game and I'm going to, so on and so forth. That's how watching prospects work. So it's kind of like it's easy to just throw Justin Fields on there because he's, the quarterbacks. They're the easy guys. But you always see, that's why I don't give mock drafts a lot of credence. I look at them as being like a summary kind of thing. Right. But they're never really accurate because they're stages.
I'm looking at this one and they just got the first 3 being Trevor, Justin, Zach Wilson, and then it's Patrick Surtain to Atlanta, and Penny Swell's falling to us, or Penny Swaley is falling to us in like 5th.
I can see it working that way.
I can see it working that way, but at the same time, I feel like the Jets may want defense, if anything.
It just depends on who they hire and how they feel about Sam Darnold.
Right.
Because if you think Sam Darnold's your guy and you don't want to reach for another quarterback, then you give him another shot, you give him an open chance, and then you build around that. But when you're 2-14, you need everything. So I don't think even a quarterback is out of the question, but there's probably better options.
And then the Steelers do have a first round pick. They're 24th, so who will be falling to them? What should they be picking? Because you say Cincinnati should take the best player available. So if Penny is available. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, so they should go for him.
I think Pittsburgh should also take the best player available with a caveat, unless there's a quarterback that they love that falls to them around that time. If there's somebody like, I know Zach Wilson probably won't, but say Trey Lance is their guy.
What about like Mac Jones? So if he falls that far,
I can see that happening.
I can see them training up for him, to be honest.
But you got Kyle Trask too. So at the same time, you could be, if you're Pittsburgh, you may want to kind of hold off on that first round quarterback. And I don't know. I have the level of thinking like the more people that have quarterbacks, the less you have to go for one at this point. So if you get another year, if you're Pittsburgh and there's another handful of teams to take a quarterback in the first round, that's going to leave more options for you next year when you're probably really going to need it more. You know, Big Ben may come back another year. If not, you're going to have to trot it out with Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs anyway. You may want a young guy, but let's say they take one at 24. Is he going to be ready to play now? Because if he's not ready to play and you think you haven't been back, and Ben has showed you, even though you probably don't care now because he's getting old and he's about to be out the door, Ben has showed you that he could care less about helping a young quarterback take it to that next level. So I just think that Pittsburgh, really in all honesty, the trade that they took, Devin Bush, I think that they should have held off and did that for a quarterback. They traded a lot to get Devin Bush on that team.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. As much as Minka has helped them on defense, they definitely should have got a quarterback for that.
Probably. But they had Ben too. So, they still just don't necessarily think long term like that. They always think of year to year. And I mean, you can't knock them too much because they've been successful doing it that way.
Right.
But it's going to come a point in time, just like it was with Ben, that you're going to have to take a quarterback pretty high.
Yeah, but I mean, before they were successful, but now it's like I wouldn't say they're in trouble, but they're slightly in trouble.
They're in a lot more trouble
than
you
would
decline.
Think.
Yeah, for 11-5 team, they're not in that great of a shape.
Well, I mean, they're 12-4. Yeah, they were 12-4.
That's right, 12-4. Look at you. All right, Nelly. But still, they're not in that great of a shape going forward. They're not who they should be. They're not the same Pittsburgh Steelers team, and they won't be that next year. So it's just at some point you're going to have to do something outside the box. I think they do a great job of staying inside that box. But, man, sometimes you got to buy that Ferrari instead of that Camry. And I think, kind of going high for a quarterback is getting that Ferrari instead of letting it come to you and just getting that Camry. That Camry's going to get you to and from. That Camry's going to be reliable, durable, and, whatnot. And that Ferrari is going to take you to another level. So especially with a quarterback-rich class, I wouldn't, if I'm Pittsburgh, I would kind of see how the board falls.
I mean, they also got the kid out of, North Dakota State?
Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey. Did you say Trey Lance?
Yeah.
I thought you said Cal Trask.
No. I said him too, but that's what I'm saying. That's that other tier of quarterbacks that maybe one of them are hanging around late second round. Maybe not, but you don't have to necessarily get one in 24. You can just kind of take the BPA, which you're also about to lose a lot. And, if a lot of quarterbacks go early, somebody's going to have to come drop to you that probably wouldn't be. So who's to say that one of those guys that you're looking at in the top 10 draft ain't there at 20, 24 for you. So I just think both teams are kind of in that position where they have to take BPA.
Well, Deshaun agrees with you. He said the Steelers aren't as good as they think they are. Which, I mean, I feel like we all agree on that.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, I was going to mention how, like, the home slate for the Bengals is, the AFC North, obviously. But they also got Patrick Mahomes at home. So that's the Chiefs. They got Packers at home. They got the Chargers again. I think the Vikings, because it says return to Zimmer.
Yep.
And then the Jags. So that's Urban and Lawrence. Why am I going down as I'm talking?
I don't know.
This chair broke. That's crazy. But I'm looking at this. I'm not even looking at their schedule coming up. I'm looking just at what these people are talking about with storylines and everything. And I get what you're saying, like take the best player available. But if they don't prioritize that offensive line, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean I agree though, but that's also saying that Penny might still be there at 5.
Right.
He's your best player. The kid from Northwestern. His name is kind of I'm lost in the name right now. But the kid from Northwestern, that's another, guy that could be there at 5. I'm at the ilk of trading back, really. I'm looking at it as there's some quarterbacks out there. Somebody's who's going to want to trade up. You're in a position where you can still take the best player available. Where I think, like, let's say Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain probably is going to be there at 5, but he got a great chance of being there at 10 too. So, would you rather have, the number 2 lineman, or would you rather have the number 1 cornerback plus another second and another fourth or something like that? So it just depends on what's the best case scenario once you get to number 5 in that draft. If there's 3 quarterbacks that went in the top 5, if Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence all go in the top 5, you're sitting super pretty for Cincinnati. You can stay there, take the best guy available, because that's either going to be Devontae Smith or Penny.
You were thinking of Rashawn Slater.
My man, Rashawn Slater. So those are all going to be there. At least one of them, either him or Penny is going to be there at number 5 for you. So if you love them, take them. It ain't no different than, finding new, I compare a lot of things to dating. Drafting ain't no different than that. If you find that woman that's the woman for you, and you feel like that's a lifelong commitment that you ready to take, you take her. You don't ask no questions. You don't worry about it. You don't do too much. If you don't think that's the case, ain't nothing wrong with dating around. See what you can get out there. Find you the best fit for you. So if they have to move down and do it, and you have to humble yourself a little bit. Just because you pick it in the top 5 don't mean that you're a top 5 team necessarily. I know your record says that, but I think the Bengals are better than their record. So, you just have to kind of do what's best for your organization at that point, and that may be the trade down, which I think it is the move, especially because you have your quarterback. If you didn't have your quarterback, like if you're talking, even Atlanta, they have Matt Ryan, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they have their quarterback.
Oh, no, they need new quarterback.
Yeah, if they have a chance to get their quarterback, I'm not going to tell Atlanta the same thing I'm telling Cincinnati, right? Because they don't have their young quarterback. Cincinnati does, so you can pretty much do whatever you want to do with that if that's the case. Right. So, and really, if I'm Cincinnati, I might be petty enough to give Dwayne Haskins a call. Come back up Joe Burrows.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, buddy.
I thought you was about to say Deshaun Watson real quick. I was gonna say
nah. Deshaun Watson might want to go to
and really New York team. Calling up Deshaun Watson, it should be Pittsburgh. I'm not gonna lie.
Deshaun Watson probably want to go to the Nets at this point.
That's crazy.
The way that's looking with them Rockets guys.
All right. So, are we supposed to be out at 45?
We go out whenever we feel like it.
All right. There you go again.
Yep. We can go ahead and end the show now, though.
I mean, I ain't really got much to say other than unless you want to talk about the NFC real quick with their playoff.
Oh, we can get there real quick.
Because I mean, you was basically right, but you was wrong on at least Seattle.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like we had the same thing. So both of us basically right, just wrong on Seattle.
It's gonna boil down to Sam Darnold. I mean, not Sam Darnold. Aaron Donald. Excuse me. Talk about the Jets. It's gonna boil down to him and his rib injury and his ability to get to Aaron Rodgers. So that's number 1. It's gonna come down to that. I think the Rams. They're so banged up.
Is Goff back or he's gone? So.
He played last week because their quarterback got hurt, but I still don't think he's really healthy. I just think that he was the backup and their quarterback got hurt. So I know that McVay was talking about that it was still up in the air who's going to be the starter. So we'll figure that out. I still think it'll end up being Goff because, again, you go with the girl that got you there, and Jared Goff is what got you there. So your backup's the backup. He did what he needed to do. He, admirable job, but it's time for Jared Goff. And if plus you coming off an injury, he showed he could play last week. He didn't get hurt again. If you're going to go out shooting. And that's just kind of the way I'm looking at it with Jared Goff. If you're going to be hurt, but you can still play, go out and do it. If you need to recover, if you lose, you're going to be home recovering anyway. If you win, you got another week to chill and recover, rest up, get your stuff together and make that move. So I don't think it's going to matter too much because I think Aaron Rodgers is on a mission. He's ready to show that, maybe it was smart to pick Jordan Love, but maybe it's a little premature. Because Aaron Rodgers still has a lot of football left, and he showed you that he might even be the MVP.
I mean, he himself said he was on a back 9. So
I mean, yeah, technically because of the age, but as far as him playing, Still a top 5 quarterback in this NFL.
Especially when you think of the next game right under it. Or I don't know, are they first or are they?
I can't remember.
But the Saints and Tampa Bay, like both quarterbacks is what 40 something.
Ooh, that's the Grandpa Bowl. That's what that's the way it should be though.
I wish I had took his tweet, but Tom had that tweet when they said that game will be on the National History Channel.
Oh yeah,
the History Channel or whatever. And he had the old man.
That's how it's supposed to be though. Like Tom Brady has to face off against Drew Brees at some point in the playoffs.
Right.
And their time is now. Tampa Bay's lost both games. They have something to prove. I picked them to be in the Super Bowl, so they better go out there and prove it. But I think that game is going to come down to the defenses for both teams because they're both fully loaded offensively. But who can hit the other quarterback the most? And again, it's not always about sacks. You got to make Drew Brees feel you. And Jameis Winston, I mean, at this point, I know he's not going to play, but he's going to be a factor out there as far as getting the team riled up. He might have a couple of tricks or whatever up under his sleeve that he knows that Tampa did or used to do or whatever. He may have some ways to help.
I totally forgot he was a quarterback for Tampa.
I think Sean Payton forgot he was a quarterback too. Like he brought him over just to kind of fix him. I feel like Jameis Winston was never going to play this year. But I just think it comes down to that, like who could hit who first. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
But I mean, I'm rolling with Tampa.
Yeah.
Like I said, I picked them, so I'm sticking with my guns. Adam Dale, everybody.
All right, man. Well, I ain't got nothing else more to say. That's all I had on the show notes. What about you?
That's about it. Just like any other week, like, share, check us out on Open Gym.
Y'all know them Brownies gonna beat them Chiefs.
Adam Dale ain't never lied in this show.
I don't know why he rooting for two teams and.
Oh, see, you leave that alone today. Even though you got a 50% chance of getting it there.
Yeah, 50%
but
chance.
Yeah, check us out next week. We'll have more to say. Open Gym as always on Wednesdays, 12 o'clock. So like, share. We got nothing to subscribe yet, but we will have that too. So check us out.
Yeah, check us out next week. All right. See y'all later.
Out.